The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Everybody, and welcome to the Happiness Jungle with yours truly, the Chief Happiness Officer, Lyn-Dee Eldridge. And I am 100% flat out excited about our guest that we have on the show today. I've known Dyan for many, many years, and I always remember her saying, one day I want to be an author. One day I want to be an author. Someday I'm going to be an author. And well, lo and behold, here we are, and she is now an author, and I'm super excited because her book is I've Heard the Voice of God and I'm No Angel. So the appropriate title for our show today is We're No Angels. And I'm so excited. Your book is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your stories are hilarious.
Some are.
Some are. Some are hearts.
Yes. Some will make you cry.
Some will make you cry. But Dyan Parker, congratulations, because you are an author, and you're a fabulous author, and your book is just wonderful. I've been enjoying, I went to one of your book signings.
Thank you for attending. Yes, you did. You went to my very first book signing.
It was amazing.
Yes.
And it was not only a signing, but it was a reading. So we, your now fans, got to enjoy hearing you read your stories, and it meant so much. I heard a lot of people say, Dyan, you need to come out with an audiobook.
I have thought about that. I forgot that I thought about that.
Yeah.
But I had looked at that maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And when he said it, I remembered, oh yeah, because that would be my next step. I don't want to write another book, but I think that I do want to do this on audio.
It would be fabulous.
Yeah. Yes.
Fabulous. And I know that there's ways for you to be able to do that, and it would be inexpensive.
Yes.
And again, just another thing for you to give out to the world. So what was the inspiration? I've heard the voice of God and I'm no angel. What was your inspiration to write a book like this?
Well, let me backtrack and correct you. I have never wanted to write a book, ever, until the seed was planted about writing a book.
Oh, okay.
And the seed was planted because I had just started reading Heaven is for Real. And in the preface, the very first page, it says, paraphrasing, if you believe in heaven, you'll enjoy this book. If you don't, let this little boy lead the way. And as soon as I read that, I thought, I had an inspiration that I needed to write about my experiences, because most people aren't thinking about heaven because they're not even thinking about God. So I wanted to write about my God experiences. And the seed was planted, and I did nothing for months.
Right.
But that's probably when I was starting to see you and saying, I need to write this book. I need to write it, not that I want to write it.
I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. That's exactly what you always said.
Yeah,
I need to.
I need to. I don't want to. I need to. Yes. So
like that.
That's what started it.
So were you in tune to hearing the voice? So many people say, okay, that's hokey pokey, or what, is she crazy? Is she psychic? Is she a medium? Should I call her up and ask her if she could, help me visit my lost relatives?
Right. No, I'm not a medium, and it's an undeserved honor, for sure, to hear the voice of God. I have no idea why I was picked, and yet I kind of think he probably knew eventually I would cave and write the book, where so many people probably would not. Right. So I think he's using me as a vehicle to get the word out. And the back of my book, the cover says, have you ever questioned the existence of God? Then this book is for you. I know that God is real because I've heard him. He spoke to me. I've heard the voice of God, and I'm no angel. And that tagline was actually added right before publication, because originally it was, as soon as I got that first thought,
Right.
the name of my book was going to be I've Heard the Voice of God. Even my first draft, everything was I've heard the voice of God. And my niece, Alyssa, read the draft, and she said, Auntie, that sounds so holy, and your book isn't. So I think you need to change the title. And I'm like, well, I have to have I've Heard the Voice of God, because that was kind of like in the command when I got that sensation. And so I said, well, I don't know, what do you think we should change it to? And she said, well, how about I've Heard the Voice of God, really? So then it was changed to I've Heard the Voice of God, ... really.
Right.
And that was okay until it became time to do a book cover and to actually do it. And for some reason, I got inspired to add, and I'm no angel. And I think that's a better hook, because it is not a holy book, although God has spoken to me. But I do see God helps me everywhere, and I think that that He helps some other people too. They just don't recognize that it's God.
Right.
They think it's coincidence or luck or whatever, but it's always God.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like you, Dyan. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual.
Yes.
And I love that, because I know you, and I know you're no angel, but you're no devil either, but you're no angel either.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just like I
Yes,
am,
yes.
we like to have fun. We don't
Yeah.
mean any harm
Yes.
in any sense of
Correct.
the way.
Correct.
And I'm not knocking religion by no means, okay, but I just think that there are just so many rules out there that it's ridiculous, and it's a man-made religious world now. Well, when you think about it spiritually, now you're talking about the universe. Now you're talking about what is it exactly that's going on spiritually around me. And when you're open to that, you're receiving it. It's completely different. No hokey pokey, no religious, no, I've been healed. None of that. It's just straightforward talk from God's mouth to your ears. And it's really the guidance that we keep asking Him for, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, there have been many times in the book where I didn't actually hear. I've only heard the voice of God 8 times.
Right.
And somebody said the other day, only 8 times? I mean, like, most people have heard it never, But to have heard Him to 8 times, I mean, again, I just think it's hysterical that He picked me. But I do believe that I'm blessed and highly favored. Undeserved, for sure.
Right. Why
But
do you keep saying that? Undeserved.
Because
I don't believe that.
Undeserved only because there's so many people that, who knows, maybe they have heard the voice of God.
Right, and they just don't know it.
You know when you hear the voice of God. Trust me, you know it.
Right.
But I was such a brat. I was such a tough kid. I mean, but I probably had so much energy that I just,
Right.
But I'm better.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the happiness jungle, people say, how does the happiness jungle start? And it was spiritually lifted into me. And I am a happiness angel. And I know that sounds, again, hokey pokey and everything, but when you look at when your life is in a turmoil or it's twisting and turning, you have to realize that there are purposes, right?
Yes.
And you also have to say, okay, and you got to look up and you got to be open, but you can't whisper, right?
No.
Don't whisper.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's so much noise that you want to be heard. So I love for my audience to be very active. And there's some people out there that are just so lost, happily lost, just so stressed because what's next? Not because they're lost and they're not happy. And then we have others that are lost. Lost but confused and want to be found. So what I want to share with them most definitely is maybe you should stop looking at religion and start looking at the spiritual being. Because every place is the house of God. It's so funny. I get to now speak in different congregations and I open up with, hey, first of all, I just got to tell everybody, thank you for allowing me to come and share the spirit of happiness, right? The spiritual being. But I'm Jewish, Hungarian, and Russian, and I'm non-convertible.
Yeah.
And as long as we could coexist in a very, in a unity status, we're golden.
Right. Right.
Your book, I want everybody to pick up this book. It's on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
Right? I've heard the voice of God and I'm no angel, because you're going to be able to relate to stories and realize that we're all human beings and we all do things. Doesn't mean that we're bad. Right?
Yes, yes. I met a gentleman maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and he said that he was a preacher. And I said, oh, I just wrote a book about God. He said, what's your book about? So I told him the title. I happen to have a book nearby, so I showed him, and he said, well, what did he say? And I'm like, well, I can't tell you. You'll have to read the book. I said, I'll let you borrow the book, but you'll have to bring it back.
Right.
So he came back, and he said, I loved your book. Will you talk to my kids? I'm like, awesome. I'd be delighted. How old are your kids? And he said, between 13 and 18. I said, okay, how many do you have? And he said, 80. 80. He's the preacher or the pastor at the juvenile detention home in Manchester.
Oh my gosh. I have
Incarcerated
goosebumps.
kids. Incarcerated. I spoke to 80 kids, 10 of them girls, 70 of them boys. Incarcerated. And they listened attentively for an hour because I talked about, I was this close to being a drug addict with diet pills, this close to doing insurance fraud, this close to doing, oh yeah, I got a lot of things that God protected me from myself.
Right.
From myself, you know? So yeah, so they could identify with the addiction part of it, just all of it.
You had no idea how many people you were going to touch, and you had no idea the ages that you were going to touch.
Who knows? And,
Who knows?
And on Sunday, there was this mother and her young girl. She was maybe 12 or so. She came to the book reading at the Holistic Self-Care Center. It's fabulous in Nashua. It is just beyond fabulous. I was in this beautiful room with
Barb Tremblett.
with 4 couches, and we had to add chairs. There was standing room only. It was fabulous. But she was listening to me as I was telling the story briefly about how it started, and then I was reading a few stories, and they're all short stories. I think there's 55 of them in there, but they're all short. So, and she said to her mother, "Mommy, we have to get this book." And I thought, how nice. She was a client of Barb's, so she just happened to be there, so she came in for the reading. And afterwards, that little girl gave me such a big hug, and she said, "Thank you so much for writing that book. I can't wait to read it." She's like 12.
Fantastic.
12. So I don't know who it's, you know.
That's the beauty of being a person, because we all have the story inside of us. And when we're ready to release the story inside of us, that's when it's going to help somebody else. I tell people all the time, the biggest gift that you have is your story, because there's somebody out there that's living your life and just wishes they had what you had, but you had to get here. And how did you get here? So tell your story up to here, because somebody needs your hand. So whether our stories are compelling to our audience, or whether our audience says, I really want to write a book, or I don't want to, I feel the need to. Tell your story, you know, and it starts with the doodle. People say, how do I write a book? How did they start writing a book, Diane? What compelled you? How did you start writing a book that you didn't want to write, but you felt you needed to?
Yeah, well, the first thing I did was I documented all the stories that I've been telling for 30 or 40, 50 years that have happened. And I've just told this friend and that friend. My family knows them all, almost all of them. And almost all, they know them all now. So I just started and I didn't realize there were so many.
Right.
So I just started doing bullets. You know, the car, the license plate, the God can. I just started doing bullets. And then, and again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Because then I heard about Dragon Speak, that fabulous program, software program, where you wear a headset, you plug it into your computer, and as you talk, it literally types. So, and because I wasn't doing a novel and making it up as I went, I was just retelling true stories that happened to me. So I was able to pace in my office, actually my spare bedroom, I was able to pace in my office telling these stories as they happened, and it was being typed. And of course, 80% correct, but I can certainly talk better than I can type. So then I had to, of course, edit what I had already written.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to get a job that wasn't really busy. Sometimes, there were certainly times I was straight out, but I had a lot of downtime. So I was able to send it to myself at work every day, and I would edit it.
Oh, wow.
And I would send it back home. And I'll tell you a funny story about how it got finished, because that's how it started. And it got somewhat finished, or at least the draft was finished, everything was on paper, once I decided that I better start writing because I didn't think I was going to have any fun until I finished it. And, you know, it's like you can't go out and to play until your homework's done.
Right.
You know that? Well, I got the bigger assignment. You know, you're not going to be able to have fun until you finish your book.
Wow.
Our book. We called it our book. This is our book. Anyway, so I thought, being proactive, I would join a Facebook page of authors. So I joined a successful authors group on Facebook to see if I don't know how to write a book, to see if I would get any tips
Right.
or, you know, maybe write an hour every day or, you know, the first thing that you wake up. I was looking for tips. But what I found was a contest to enter. And I love contests because I usually win them. And the reason I win them is because I'm persistent.
Right.
I'm persistent. So anyway, so the criteria, and this was just a random successful authors group, okay? And the criteria was you had to be an unpublished author. I was. You had to have at least 10,000 words. I probably had 40,000 at this point. You had to have it finished by January 31st, and it was in November now. So, and I love deadlines.
Wow.
But the fourth criteria, the subject had to be about God. What are the chances?
What are the chances?
I love it. I love saying, what are the chances? Of course.
Right, of course.
So God put it in me to really get me motivated. I mean, I didn't look up from that typewriter for 3 months. And I hit the send button at 7:30, January 31st.
Oh my goodness.
It took me that long. I mean, it's send. And it was a rough draft.
Right.
Roughed. But at least it was all down. And I didn't know at that point, I've certainly come a long way since that first draft, but I didn't know at that point that I had to do more. I thought it's done,
Right.
it's over. I wasn't doing it for publication. I was just writing it to put it down.
Yeah.
To write it down. So I made 2 copies, 2 hard copies, because my mother doesn't have a computer. And then I waited for the results. I came in third place with about 50 other people. Because it was
That's
a
okay.
group of thirds.
Right.
And what they really did was they gave me money off of self-publishing, which would have been okay, but I didn't go that route. I didn't even have, at the time, I didn't even have any money to put towards self-publishing. But what I did do, I let it sit for about a year until I realized I have to edit this thing now. I really have to do it. I got all the thoughts and everything on paper. So now I organized it. I did chapters. I did Bible verses. It then became, that was harder to do than putting it down on paper the first time. But then I had to edit my sentences and pick better words. And I mean, there was 1,000 edit mistakes. I mean, it was just, and then I didn't know where to go from there. Again, when the teacher is ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I had a date with a guy who happened to just mention casually that his brother had just written a book. And I said, actually his brother-in-law, I said, what's your brother's name? Brother-in-law's, I need to call him. So he was the one who told me about how to get this done.
Wow.
And I pulled it all together, and actually I was having a little bit of a hissy fit. And I asked God for some more help to do a business card and to do the website. And I needed to get some things done so I could put it in this.
Right.
And within a half hour, I had all 3 done. They were done. I've never done a book before. But I say this is our book.
Right.
This is our. So God was helping me do it.
Right.
And it was just it just all became. And so my first real goal was to get it printed and have it for my family only. But my family for Christmas presents, because they've been hearing me talk about, I'm writing my book, I'm talking about my book, I need to edit my book, I need to work on my book. They've been hearing me talk, and not seeing me do much action. So last Christmas, less than a year ago, I finally hit the approved button, and as soon as I did that, I got an email, I got a notice saying, you are now on Amazon.com. I wanted to vomit, actually.
Why?
Because I was like, I didn't know that was going to be the plan. Oh my God, I was just really doing it to make copies for my family. I really never thought about going any further. So now that it's on Amazon.com, I had to start talking about it. And so I've done quite well. I've sold over 500 copies. It's at the library. It's at some
Wow.
bookstores. You can order it on at Barnes and Noble. Again, the church has asked me to speak to them too.
Right.
So I'm doing the circuit. So this actually is my practice for when I go on Oprah. Yeah.
My goodness. Well, you're going someplace, I'll tell you that, you know. Oprah, here she comes, Dyan Parker. Wow. It all starts, and as long as you're willing just to keep on going, everything can happen and more. So it's just a matter of taking that belief. And you said one of the most powerful things is that you put yourself in a circle of other authors. You also pushed yourself. You know what I love about you?
What?
Is that even if we don't go back to school per se, you keep yourself in check with deadlines to always promote yourself better and better. Your book is done. And now what I see is happening is that you're being found. You're being found to talk to kids that want to listen to you. You're being found because there are other people out there that want to hear from you. Wow, Dyan, that's tremendous, you know?
Yeah, thanks.
Wow, you blow me away. You always do.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
I'd be very excited about it, my
Yeah.
God, because you keep on going. It's like with what I do, whether it's the speaking engagements or whether it's my books that are coming out or my workshops, sometimes you get to a place where, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden you're like, I need a sign, I need something, and just because you're open to it, there's another pull. You know how I got to go speak at a congregation? Because I gave myself to the nonprofit organizations, to the Rotary clubs. I love to speak to those clubs, you know, no matter what it is. In the Rotary Club was the pastor. The pastor said, last week we started talking about happiness. Would you please come to our congregation?
Yeah.
And that's what I said, as long as you all accept this Jewish, Hungarian, Russian girl, yes. And the rest is history.
Right. That's how it is. When we are willing, well, what do they say? Ask and you shall receive.
Ask and you shall receive.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So talk about unity, because this book, I saw your audience. When I came to your book signing, I was very impressed with the age demographic. You had somebody there that was 20 years old, and you had the oldest woman that was there, I want to say was in her 70s? Easy?
Yeah, easy.
And then a few in between. And you had all of us just zoned into you. That's got to be the most fulfilling thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be able to just share life experiences that are God-related, and to get them to think that maybe, you know, God, because so many people they believe they're going to see him when they die.
Right.
You know, that's it, end of story. They don't know that they can have a conscious contact, or that he cares about every one of us on an individual basis.
Right.
And so many people don't know that. So I actually told my girlfriend the other day, borrow my God. You don't have a God like that?
There
Then
you
borrow
go.
mine.
I like that.
So she was saying all day, all right, Dyan's God, can you help me with whatever? All right, Dyan's God, help me.
Right.
And she texted me that night and said, oh my God, it worked. So she still hasn't developed her own God, but she's using my God.
I like that. Sometimes in life, I know that I've been there, and I lost religion. I lost
this
the
isn't
faith.
religion.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's spiritual. Yeah.
Boom.
What do they say? Religion is for people who are afraid of going to hell. Spirituality is for people who have already been there.
Wow. Oh. Okay, everybody. Wow. I don't know how much more powerful that could be, because everybody is at different pockets of their lives goes through that hell transition. So spiritually, we've got you. We've got you. You just got to appear. You just got to look up in the heavens, and you just got to go outside of your house. Go outside of the house so you can breathe that air and just look up and go, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And you could feel it. I could feel it right now. I could feel it right now in this studio. You got to juice yourself in order to get juiced. And you're not going to get juiced by the religion, the man-man religion. but you will through the unity.
Yeah. God is good.
God is good. God is really, really good. There's so much greatness that he helps you get through the crap.
Yeah.
You got to get through it, but you know what?
Yeah.
No one ever said that life was easy, but we
No.
did say that you could live it happier, and you can become everything and more that you want. It just might not happen the way that society says it should happen.
Right.
How
right.
about that?
Yes, and I always say it's not rejection, whether it's a
Right.
date or the husband or a job or what. It's not rejection. It's divine
Did
protection.
you go to school for journalism?
No.
Oh. Did you go to college to become any kind of an editor or anything in the media world?
No.
No. But yet you had an author within you, and now look at this, and now look at the lives that you're changing. How do you feel about it?
Great, great. And I love it every single time I meet someone and they say, I read your book, I absolutely loved it. I'm seeing God in my life more than I ever saw, you know, in places that I never thought I would see him. I'm
Because
like,
the
wow,
blinders
that's good.
come off.
Yeah, yeah.
Diane, I want you to share with our audience, how can they get in touch with you? You have a website.
I do have a website.
Share with them,
My
please.
website is I'veHeardTheVoice.com. So it's I'veHeardTheVoice. I'veHeardTheVoice.com. And when you read the book, go to the website after, and there's a lot of pictures in the book that are on the website. And you can also find the book and you can order from on that page. And I'm also on Amazon.com. I'm at the Toadstool all the Toadstools in the area. I'm at the Bookseller, and I'm also at the library, the Nashua
Fantastic.
Public Library. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
How, man, we come a long way, baby, and we ain't done living, huh?
No,
Not until
it's
the good Lord says, okay, it's time to come back up. Boop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my grandmother lived at 103 and 7 months, and I expect to outdo her because I'm very competitive.
And she was absolutely delicious,
Wasn't she?
right
Wasn't
to the
she a
end.
doll?
My
Yeah.
goodness,
Yeah,
without
she
a doubt.
played bingo 3 days before.
She
and won.
did.
And won. So she's in heaven playing bingo.
Well, everybody, we are running out of time, and I have to tell you, I know that you're probably no angel, we're no angels, but spiritually, we're going to make a difference in the world, because here in the happiness jungle, it's not about hokey pokey, it's about surviving the world and making better choices, isn't it, Diane?
And it's thriving,
It's
not just
thriving.
surviving.
Right.
Thriving.
You know me quite some time.
Yeah.
I also have my agita and stuff, but it's how I deal with it.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful place to be in the happiness jungle. So with that, everybody, remember, it's okay that you're no angel, but get out there and scream to God, I'm ready. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.